So Coach Development Days here at PFCA HQ. I love these days in particular because they're pretty open. I'm not particularly teaching in these 2 days, I'm observing. The aim of the game for me and my role in these 2 days is to feed back to these coaches as to where I think they're at in their journey towards coaching mastery, and then help them establish what the next couple of steps might be in the long-term pathway towards it. Of course, in that, there's plenty of conversation, plenty of back and forth, plenty of questions, and me listening to them to figure out where they're at, just like we do in coaches when we're trying to figure out where our clients are at. As part of that, then naturally there are pieces of education that are shared. I learn lots, they learn lots. So despite the fact that it's not education on the tin, it's an educational experience for us all in there as usual anyway. First day is an introspective look into things, so really getting them to stop and think about who they are, what they value, the usual PFCA way, the same as we do at the start of every course. Why you're here, what do you define as success, what lights you up, what doesn't. Really getting them to stop and think about these things rather than being carried away with the chaos and the day-to-day that we get in our coaching practices. So this is really a stop and think. That's day one. So we really ground them in themselves in day one. Towards the end of day one, then we move into some movement stuff. We reflect on their skills and ability in that, which leads into day two, where we really challenge them. I see how they actually operate on the gym floor. I challenge them with a session to design and then deliver to the other coaches. I go totally hands off at that point, let them do the do, so that I can really see where they're up to on the gym floor in their practice and then feedback accordingly. I look forward to this, so let's go and get stuck in. Okay. Morning, folks. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I always say that because you needn't be here, right? You needn't care so much just to want to develop. You could have said no to your gaffers. No, I don't want to get any better, maybe. But I appreciate, I know by you being here, there's an open-mindedness in the room from you all. And that's very important today and tomorrow. The function of these 2 days is not necessarily for me to educate you, okay? There will be plenty that you'll take away from not just me, but also conversations that we have between ourselves. There will be lots learned. I'm hoping though, primarily there'll be lots learned about yourselves, okay? That's the aim of the game. The aim of the game is for you folk to leave here with a clear understanding of where you should be heading next as far as progression is concerned, okay? And I'll be feeding that back to your gaffers and gym owners and what have you, okay? So my job for the next 2 days is to try and get to know you well enough that I understand both where you are right now and where you want to go. And therefore we can decide then what that pathway looks like and what those next steps might look like as well, okay? All cool? Yeah. Aligned with why you're here? Yeah? Cool. Nice jumper bag.
Thank you.
So, with that in mind, we're all going to get to know each other. And I know this is awkward. I'm not going to do any, what do they call it when you break? Icebreakers. Right? I'm not going to do icebreakers as such and you have to do a party trick or anything. But I do want you to tell me your story. My belief, as I've learnt more about this role, about this industry, is that this whole thing centres around relationships. It's just a fact, okay? We can get wrapped up in the technicalities of coaching practice, of movement science and anatomy phys and nutrition science and all the rest of it. That stuff matters. But without the ability to relate to the people in front of you, to relate to the subject matter as well, we're dead in the water, okay?
There's that fear for the normal, very general population coming into a gym, like especially a type of community, they might feel like a bit of an outsider. So I suppose being the type of coach that is like very approachable with her. I suppose I come from a sporting background, so I'm used to deal with people that are, I suppose, physically active and physically fit the whole time, but being able to, I suppose, be very good with members who aren't so physically active and they feel like they can come to be easy enough.
Do you do that now?
I feel like I'm getting better at it.
Really?
Yeah,
so you have to try?
Yeah.
Why so?
I suppose probably finding that probably from like the sporting background, it's like it's all about like the intensity of it is always very high, like, and being able to, I suppose, find the right challenge for them in terms of not pushing them too far, and I suppose being able to by using the right tone and language with them as well, being able to, I suppose, get that appropriate challenge for them as well when they're coming through.
Big difference between sport and fitness for life, right?
Yeah.
In the way that it's communicated, the pressures, all the rest of it. So I guess if you've learnt that, what sport are you in?
It was mostly game of football my whole life, yeah.
There's an end, right? And there's a requirement. It's like, I need you to be good for this time and that time and so on and so forth. Whereas in life, it's a different challenge, and we can understand that. Would it be fair to say that the approachableness, your ability to relate, is already in there?
I think from when I first started coaching, there's been a massive difference and improvement in terms of being I suppose able to adapt to different type of members that are coming in, and I suppose dealing with their story as well.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely something I've improved on to the very first step. I think that's all we can always, I suppose, improve.
No, I get that. The reason I say that is because you're a humble guy, and as soon as you walked in there, you were particularly welcoming to me, right? That's not pretense, right? You didn't pretend to do that with me. That was real. I felt it. So that's what I'm saying. It's in you, but the environment in which you've been shaped and told what coaching is in sport has probably taught you something else, right? But it's almost like removing those layers of things that you've learned through your own experience and getting back to what you know to be true, right? And that's that relationship piece.
I think I want to be a coach that I know that members can rely on me, like within the coaching floor, but also off that as well. So it's not just within the coaching space, it can be to do with anything. Like if we're having that one-to-one chat, I want to be able to give them the best advice that I can and be there for them, just not for the coaching, but just there for their mental health as well, and everything that comes along with it.
When you say rely, what do you mean? What do you mean by that word? What are you offering to them?
Know that they can come to me for anything that they feel comfortable to, and they don't feel hesitation that they can't, especially if they've got a question with the coaching, to say I want to feel confident in myself that I know the answer and I have the knowledge there to be able to help them.
Cool. I'm glad I asked. I think your intentions are in the right place, but careful heaping too much pressure on yourself in and around that. And that's where I think the coach can really crumble over time, because the pressure of that intention to know all the answers and to be right all the time is impossible. It's an impossible task. You can't have all the answers. We don't know. What you can be is all the things and attributes that we'll uncover over these next 2 days. You can be trustworthy, right? You can be relatable. You can be caring, empathetic, vulnerable, right? All these things. Knowing all the answers? Never. But you can be willing to try and explore with the client. That's the key, right? And so they rely on you for that you're always a place of non-judgment, right? And you're always a place where they feel they can take something, where you're going to challenge them and help them find the next steps. That's what we can commit to, right? See the difference? Yeah. Rather than committing to be this font of knowledge. The key then is having solid intentions as a coach. That's it. Yeah. And it is that simple. Now, doesn't make it easy, but it is simple. Because the reason it's difficult is because you've got a whole industry telling you otherwise. Telling you, well, you're going to make money by doing this, and if you just manipulate this, then and so on and so forth. So staying true to those values and intentions that you've simply laid out is the hardest thing. So simple, not easy.
To sort of echo everyone else a little bit as well, trust is such a big thing. But I think sort of expanding on that, if they know that you're a well-rounded person as well as a well-rounded coach, they know that you're going to empathise with them as well as knowing where to take them as well. That's the sort of coach that I want to be.
Great. So this is from James Fitzgerald, and he used to say, we want to get to the point where we are so aligned and so connected to the client that we can step back in order to be of use. Because whilst we're in the shit with them and we're getting frustrated with them, why can't you just do this thing? Just get on with it, right? You've told me you want this as the outcome, and I've told you that this needs to happen in order to get the outcome, and you're not fucking doing it, right? Now, there'll be reasons as to why they're not doing it. We've not uncovered them yet, and they're not aware of them either. They're tiny little bits, they build up.
Yeah.
Whereas for each thing, it's like, client goes, this is where I want to go, right? Best coach in my area. Meanwhile, I'm keeping tabs on him, and he's showing up late for sessions. I'm playing him, showing up late for sessions. He's being egotistical. He's dictating, you know, all the things that we don't want from a coach. There's a misalignment between where he wants to go and what in his actions, right? My job then, I'm going, you still want to be the best coach? You still want to be the go-to? Yeah. But things need to change. Things need to change. This is cool because we're in a safe space. These aren't clients, of course, so we can practice this and feel uncomfortable and feel like a dickhead. Ask the question and shut up. Aim it again, right? Think about that golden minute. Ask it, leave them to it. Okay? Now, this is going to be hard for the clients on the other side because they're going to know this, of course you are. But I think it's a worthwhile practice to do. Okay, so we're gonna have another stab. That's the main aim I want you to do. I want you to think about the golden minute. I also want you to think about not selling. Okay, not selling. They're already here. And then also thinking about your own biases. What's coming up here for me? Why was I going to say that? Okay, because what we want to do in this is an investigation. We're detectives in this point. This is what this whole thing's for. We're not trying to solve anything. We're not trying to come up with any solutions. So as much as it makes us feel better that we're offering some value, and we think they might think that I'm a good coach because I've just offered them something, now's not the time. Now is about them and us getting to know them, okay? The solutions, our proposals come after the fact, not in this time. Because whilst we're thinking about solutions, we're not present. We've jumped into the future. We're creating expectations. See the difference? Stay present, keep asking questions. One is going to be a weight loss client with low confidence, okay? So that's their aim coming in. They want to lose, they in their head, they want to lose weight. They haven't got a lot of confidence. They've not had a lot of success before in trying to lose weight, but hoping that now is the time. Okay, got it? Got a person?
I had a guy who was 65 and he was the head researcher in the Belfast City Hospital for cancer. I'm like, I should be talking to this guy. He's too smart for me. I just tried to level with him and just be as human with him as possible. Try and build that relationship, and it helped. I wasn't trying to think he can't relate to me just because he's nearly triple my age. It was just he's a normal person, I'm a normal person. We're just trying to find that common middle ground that we can have that relationship to push together, basically.
I've sort of gone with the approach of more the approach of like I empathise where you're coming from, and I say to them like I can't relate to that because I haven't been through that, but I totally understand your feelings and it's fine to feel that way.
Now, I know how hard it is for a 21-year-old to go into a room with a 50-year-old super successful individual, right? Thinking, who the fuck am I to have this chat? To your point, right? You're right though. The reality is, if they could do this on their own, they would be doing it. But whilst they've experienced success in some part of their life, in this area,
They've come to you for help and guidance. And as part of that sits the relationship between you and them. Right? Now, at that point, again, it's fair game for me, for you as a 21-year-old to say, this makes me nervous sat in a room with you, with everything that you've been through. And they'll likely say, if they're a good person, something like, there's no need, I'm nervous speaking to you. Right? You're being real in that moment. Here's a cool thing. Kids have a way of removing any sense of performance in the world. Yesterday, my eldest went to school for his first little afternoon as a taster session to meet his teachers ready for September. He said, clear as day to me as we were going, Dad, I'm excited, but I'm also scared. No pretense. Because at that age, he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody in his mind yet, right? He's not got that. No filter. He's just open and honest. What does that enable me to do as his dad? I can speak to that, right? I can speak to those fears. I asked him, I said, what are you scared about, son? He said, well, I've never been before. I said, of course you haven't. Of course you haven't. And he explained how it's natural for him to be scared. He's probably never been scared like that right before. And he explained how I get scared still when I do things for the first time, right? And that's just normal for everybody, not just him as a little man. Now, whether or not that helped his fears, who knows? But at least I related to it. Treat this exactly as it is. Treat this as coaches just jamming on a bit of movement. So no rights or wrongs, no performances, right? We're just trying to observe, and we're all just working together to try and see what we see. Okay? So, knock us 5 squats out, facing that way, and then turn around and face the wrap. You can play with this guy's squat and go, try this, try the other. You could probably always do something that looks like a real nice squat pattern. Great knee flexion, vertical hip displacement, the 2 big pieces in the squat. So those are the things we're looking for. Then the key thing then is the output that suits him. Where do you want to go with it? And so then, if by doing this and making this change, we move him further away from where he wants to go in his squat, then maybe that's not a good shift. And maybe that slight angle on the feet was necessary. Consider where you're at, movement coaching wise. Okay, this is going to feed into the broader piece that we're going to get into in a minute. Where you're at, movement coaching wise, what you've heard there, and what for you might be some work-ons. So a little bit of self-reflection, a little bit of self-feedback, if you like. So just have a stab at that for the next couple of minutes, and then just feed in.
I think I need to focus on taking maybe a step back with like not trying to think of like the quickest like fixer of the problem that I'm seeing. Like I need to make sure I'm coaching who's in front of me and giving them what they need in that moment, rather than just thinking about, oh, it must be that, I need to give that.
Now, I'm not saying you're lying, but it's all right with saying this. I want to make sure that you've got an actionable piece. How are you going to do it? What do you think? What do you think is going to be the step for you towards that? And you might not have the answers, you might be one to think of, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, probably to think on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what we don't want is for this to be a session where we go, yeah, that makes sense in my mind, but fuck knows how to do it in practice, and so I'm just going to revert back to what I know. right? Despite the fact that I can see something different now, I'm just going to do this. You'll be even more frustrated.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is try and think about, okay, well, what's the step towards where you want to go? That's why I asked you at the start, what's the type of coach that you want to become? I'm going to ask you that at the end of tomorrow. Again, right? Because I imagine it will have changed over these 2 days. So trying to think about what's that first step, just like in what you're saying, rather than trying to fix things and trying to catapult people from where they're standing to this solved, perfect movement of an exercise or reflection of an exercise. We're going, it's the first step. Overnight reflections on day 1. Speak.
My one was that when we were doing the practical bit, in my head I'd have something I'd want to say, like something I spotted that might be wrong, but I didn't have like the confidence in saying it. I'd wait, someone else would say it, and then because they said it, and then you have more value. But I kind of think like the way I have to think about it is like just go, like trust my own ability to like make that call. So I think that's what I reflected, like realised when I like left.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Can I add to that? Can I add to it a little bit? The reason I say add to it because I think it can go further. Also, in that decision as to whether I say anything or not, I guess at the moment there's a little bit of fear in there that I've got it wrong, right? Or it might be wrong, and then I look like a dickhead in front of these coaches who've been doing it for longer than me, right? The shift though is there's no right and wrong, or the opposite, which is everything's wrong. Because I could challenge everything that you come up with, or anything anybody come up with, we could say, I don't agree with that. But as long as you've got good reason to try it, right? So we shift from this absolute certainty piece into curiosity and openness. This is where we start playing. And then any pressure that you feel around saying anything dissolves. You see that? So that's what I just wanted to add that, because I think that's important to even further hammer. I'm being loose on purpose.
Sure.
Okay. Because I want to see what you do with it.
Obviously, there's 5 people. You can have 5 people doing 5 different things, and in turn, as long as it's a vertical push, squat, whatever.
You
Just
manage.
thinking about the equipment and all, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a bit of jiggery pokery to do with the equipment because it's not set up for 5 people really. So there's that to consider, especially for
Is it just dumbbells and kettlebells?
and barbell.
Well,
And you can use the cables. Use whatever you want. Just don't ask me to whip up any of the ergs quickly because I don't think I'll be able to get sorted.
Okay, no injuries or anything? Everyone all good? Sweet, cool. So first thing that we're going to go through is a quick warm up. We're going to go through 2 rounds and get you started on a couple of different sections on this just because of how many others there are. So first thing we're going to do is, a few of you are going to start here. We're going to go through some hip 90-90s to start with. So once pop your heels a bit outside your shoulder width, and then we're going to rotate over that knee. Nice reach over, chest over the top. Should feel a bit of a stretch through your hip there. Try and maintain a bit of a gap between your heel and your knee there. Just pivot over your heels, and then over to the other side. So we're going to do 10 reps in total. That's going to be our first one. Please can I get you 2 starting on that one, and then you 3 find a bit of space over here. And we're going to go for 5 each side through some spider rotations. So got a nice big lunge stance, hands down towards the floor, arm closest to that knee. It's going to go through 5 big rotations through each side. Okay, so find some space through that. After that, you guys in the spideys, we're going to move over to these plates. You guys on your hip 90-90s, you can go over to the spideys. All right.
All good?
Yes.
Cool. Charlie, how did you feel that one?
Yeah, I feel it went okay. There's probably a couple of versions of the squat I feel like I would have everyone, but I could have synced them up better to time them together on my watch.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
And also putting a bit more of a timer on the rest as well.
So it's more organised?
Yeah.
I'll feedback now while it's fresh. Thought the warm-up was really nice. 3 great movements that weren't overly complicated and allowed them to warm up specifically into what they were preparing for. You didn't overcoach it. Your tone was
light and positive. Wasn't heavy, wasn't awkward. Thought you did really well through the warm-up. I think you could have been, if I'm nitpicking, a little bit clearer on the flow through it.
Yeah.
You set up the 3 movements and didn't really explain that you wanted 2 sets and you wanted them to sort of work around. And so there was a little bit of should I, shouldn't I sort of thing.
And that secondary bit of the warm-up going into the first strength block, warming up the goblet squats, is that?
The 2 rounds through the initial warm-up.
Yeah.
Of the 90-90s and the spider.
Yeah.
And the counterbalance squat. You set everybody off, and then was like, right now we're looking for 2 rounds. Okay. I think you could have just been clear of that at the start and let them go.
Okay.
Let them take responsibility for their own sort of flow around it, because that then would set them up nicely for the flow for the rest of the session. Okay. I enjoyed that you gave them 5 minutes to warm up to a working weight in the strength piece. So you did an A1, A2, goblet squat and high plank. Question, what's your rationale for the high plank alongside the squat?
To keep the core engaged, and to also not as a meaningless filler, but to keep them busy as well. In between those sets.
I love that you said not to be a meaningless filler.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you on that.
Okay.
If we're challenging the core in an A2, is it going to be more or less fatigue when we get to the squat?
More. Yeah.
So it's not a primer or a switcher on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fatiguer.
Okay.
So I would actually say that it is jump volume.
Okay.
In that case.
Sure.
If you want to do core after, fine.
Yeah.
But if this is your A and primary movement is the squat, then let it be. Let it be. And if you think about this as a coach, if you need to prepare anybody or any particular part of somebody's body in order to execute the pattern that you're asking them to do, likely you've given the wrong challenge in that pattern.
Sure.
Okay. As it happened, the goblet squat was great for everybody, of course it was, but everybody's core was probably working hard within that anyway. Yeah. Now, supplementary work after, fine, but don't fatigue it in the squat, because then you're actually taking away from their ability to be more intense in the squat. See that?
Yeah.
So I think that would have been filler. Whereas you could have given them opportunity to rest there and then push the intensity in the squat, which would have been more beneficial, I think, if squat is the focus of the session.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fair?
No, yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Now, this comes back to less is more, right? Tendency of the industry, we need to put something in, we can't have people standing around. Right, it looks like where's the value in that? They're paying for this session. No, you fucking rest. We need to value, so in our culture we have to value rest so that we can find some intensity in the working sets, right? It's important, educate them on that. So don't give in to industry norms around filling.
Yeah.
Yeah? Feedback from you folks on that little session?
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was good, it was clear.
Yeah.
And you could tell he was always watching,
Mm-hmm.
see if there was anything that in case someone's doing wrong, just try and keep them safe.
Yeah. Great. Any others? I want you to get used to giving critique to other coaches and not feeling like a twat. We need to do this. This is how we learn.
Like probably just do a small bit more. Like he was good in investigating in terms of how to weight fields, but maybe investigate a bit more in terms of maybe reps. I know you kind of gave us all the 10 to go on. Like maybe one thing would be say for example, if Tom's target might be strength wise, or mine might be a bit more, I suppose, hypertrophy or so on. Just adjust it small bit into the. For the idea to give a rep range instead of giving set 10 each time.
Yep. More reps, higher time under tension, more skill focus. Lower reps, lower time under tension, more intensity focus. Okay? That's for people who refine the skill and are pushing today. That's for people who want to work on it. This is also for people who are highly stressed. They're not really ready for the intense piece today because they can't recover from it. Volume. Chomping at the bit, ready to go, moving well, more intensity. Yeah?
Of course, there's intensity to be found in both, there's challenge to be found in both, but there should be in our minds some rationale around those rep schemes. Yeah.
In my mind, like the more structured it is, the more safe it is.
Yeah.
And for the quality of my coaching and everyone else's safety, like within the class as well. But it doesn't need to be that way.
No.
I don't think.
No. I'm glad you said for my coaching.
Okay.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. We know everybody can exist in that space doing different things and they're perfectly safe.
Yeah.
And you're more than capable of managing that. So it's more like it's your preference because it feels controlled, right? And so your challenge is, can you step out of that comfort zone of control and organisation and let some chaos play out? And when we say chaos, all that means is people doing different things. There's still order in how they're doing it. You're still looking for great quality, you're still looking for the same things, great quality, adequate challenge on the day. Is it a progression on from where they were last time, and so on and so forth? What are they ready for? All these things that we're paying attention to. But you're doing that across each person rather than going, what does the group need? Yeah, you're going, what does each individual need? And then I'm going to get busy then in trying to figure out that today.
Yeah.
So that's your task. Similar to this map, right? It's where you can take some great confidence. I think more of that, and whether that comes from the fact that he is newer and he's just being, there's less for him to think about at the moment, right? Less pressure from years in the industry. But you want more of that. You want more of those clear eyes where it's just like, let's just see how this goes, rather than thinking a session needs to look like this. Let that go.
Sure. I think I need to do more stuff like this and get out of my comfort zone a little bit more.
I love that from you. I love that from you. I agree. What I will say to you is thanks for participating like you have, despite your discomfort. Thank you. Because I know it's not easy. As we were saying though, the more of this you do, the more you expose yourself to this, the better. The more comfortable this feels. Because this is the norm. This happens in March on 3 times a week. Not 2 days of it. But we sit down and go, why are you doing that? And it's not a, why are you being a dickhead? It's, tell me why. Like, I'm interested. Why are you doing that? And so then you can create that in your own gym, where you're doing this regularly. And then getting outside of your 4 walls and challenging yourself with different ways of thinking about things. The sense I got from your delivery was like what I would call the stereotypical London class. So the delivery was really good. It was confident. Everybody's going to have a good time, feel great, all the rest of it. But it was more of a delivery than coaching. And you're capable more so of coaching. Thanks for your time and attention. I've really enjoyed it. Like I said to Chelsea on the camera when she recorded that before, I don't tell lies. There's a great level in this room. As I said when I got home last night, really enthused by it. Not just the level of coaching, but also the level of character as well of the people in the room. It's great. Warms my heart, because as I look onto the fitness industry, it looks a bit fucking dreary to me. So the fact that you lot exist, brilliant. So keep doing what you're doing. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.